Good afternoon. Today is 18th of November 2023. It's a Saturday. It's a holiday. We are in the beginning of a Thanksgiving week. And Thursday is Thanksgiving Day. In Turkey, we have the Fed meeting of Turkey on Thursday. So they will give us as a thank some more interest rates. So because they delayed. We had our gifts in the past year, very cheap rates, and now extremely high inflation due to the gifts given a year ago. Now it's payment time. To start the real issue of this video is very important because it says in the topic, you don't invest in house, you don't invest in real estate, okay? That's just a tool. House is a tool. Residence is a tool. Apartments are tools. You actually invest in a very long-term, 30-year loan with a very high leverage. I'm talking about the US. So if you're in Turkey, think of it as a 10-year loan, okay? The longest possible. In the US, 30-year loan, and I know that they started 40-year loans as well in USA. 40 years, yes. If you are 20 when you start paying, you will be 60 years old when your payments are finished. But the actual is not this way. What you see is virtual. The real thing is you never pay for 40 years, okay? You just get the loan for 40 years, 30 years, 10 years. And you don't have to see the end. So not because you're going to die. You're not going to pay it. Okay. So the reason is in every kind of business, the hidden reason behind this is totally different. So in a house, residence, commercial building, you never buy the building. Building is a tool. Tool of what? It's an asset you put as a collateral, okay, to get that loan from the bank. Banks prefer the best loan is real estate for banks. They are not in real estate business, but that's considered like the gold tier one asset, which they can put as a collateral. So what we are providing is we are getting a loan, and against that loan, we are providing them a collateral. Otherwise, they won't give us the credit for a long term. They would give you small credits like credit card credit or personal spending credits like 36 months, 12 months, but in small amounts. If you have a collateral, you can get huge spending credits as well. But you need to give a credit. That's why most businessmen, they use credit. And credit, they haven't started a business. They are not in shoemaking, this and that business, or machine making, export. No. That's a business to get loan, okay? You set up a business so that they give you loans. Who give you loans if you're in an industrial? Governments do. They give you cheap loans, and you apply for a business, small business loans. So the whole idea is getting cheap loans, okay? Cheap loan versus existing rates. So now, when you receive the loan, how do you make money from a loan? You pay plus an interest. That's where everybody gets it wrong, because no country can live without inflation. And inflation is the creation of the governments, of their treasuries and their federal central banks, which print the money. So the rest is a total lie. I'm hearing from all these channels, this inflation is a result of supply-driven inflation. This inflation is a supply and buying consumer inflation. It's all a bull, okay? If you don't print so much money, you will not have inflation. If you don't create so much credit and loans, you will not have inflation. But because your system runs on credit, just like I mentioned to you, they have to create inflation to give you a lot of loans. Then against the loan, you go find cash, turn it a couple of times, give it again, pack it, sell it to another one. That's what banks do. They turn the credit like 5-6 times. Otherwise, they cannot make good money. So this way, and the best credit asset, let's say collateral, is real estate. And then maybe a better one, more liquid one, but not as secure, is the government bonds, okay, treasury bonds, because government bonds carry a big risk. When the rates start going up, like we saw last March, 4 banks went bankrupt. If they weren't saved by Fed, by a new rule, also Swiss bank, major second Swiss bank went bankrupt, they were all going to go bankrupt if Fed didn't intervene. All of them, including big ones, okay? But they had to stop the dam was breaking down, so they had to plug some stuff. They didn't care what they plugged it with. They put real gold, everything, money into it, just to plug the hole so the water doesn't come out and explode the dam. So that's the macro side of it. We are in the micro, small side as an investor. So what does this knowledge help us with? We don't get a house for buying a residential, or what my family likes, with windows, red windows, green windows, and a small door, and the kids playing in the backyard. That's the image they give you. You just get a loan, okay? But why don't they give, if banks are so eager to give a loan to you because you can pay it back, you have a salary. You cannot just show the house and get the loan. They must be sure that you are paying enough cash up front. Even if you stop paying the rest of the loan, they can just come and seize the house and sell it out and collect their money so they don't go bankrupt, okay? So they are looking for a collateral. They are not looking for number one thing is they are looking for a collateral. Second, they are looking for a person that can pay, at least for some time, the monthly bills, okay? So otherwise, you should think about this. If houses and residence and real estate are all bad investments for the country, like don't invest in, cement, iron, this and that, well, okay, then come to me with another offer. For example, come to me, and no country does this. Watch out, this one. No country does this. And no government does this. No banks do this. If you tell me, okay, now you have a ton of gold, okay, give me the ton of gold as a collateral, and I'll give you a very cheap loan for 30 years, 10 times your the money you put down. So I can give them 100 kilo of gold. They give me a ton of gold money. I just go buy another ton of gold. Well, ton of gold is not going to pay me any interest, right? But wrong. Sometimes there are accounts that pay you very high interest on gold as well. In Turkey, it happens. They are paying interest on gold. If you are a provider from foreign country, you get an interest on loan. But on the other side, why don't they let me go to the stock exchanges and buy with a 30-year loan, okay? I can just buy many firms, stocks, with just 10%, 20%, 5% down payment, and they will cover me 85, 90% and provide me, like if I invest with a $100,000, suddenly next day I can have $100,000 worth of stocks of, let's say, Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, okay, Google, or let's say more secure, they may go bankrupt, mutual funds that have the packs of the best running, or maybe S&P stock exchange ETF, okay? So just let them do this. Mr. Chichek, you bought $100,000 S&P stock exchange, NASDAQ stock exchange, let's say shares, ETFs. Now you deposit them with me. You cannot sell them. I froze them. They are under my possession. Okay. Now take this loan and go buy, 80% more of these. And you receive the let's say a dividend, just like you're receiving a rent from the house. So you can pay your loan with your dividends. No problem. You get the dividends and just keep paying me that monthly $3,000, okay? Like you bought a house. Did you ever thought, why don't they give you such an offer? If stocks are such a good, you know, security against non-payment, or gold, they can just sit on my gold if I'm not paying monthly. They never come with that offer. They just say a house, a real estate, okay? It must be a real estate. It must have, and real estate in Turkey, for example, in any remote area has a 40-50% land in it, because real estate comes with its own portion of land. Uh, Even if you're buying a skyscraper in New York City, you have a 1 square meter of Manhattan Island, not just the building. So land is also your security, but if you buy land, they are not giving you a mortgage. Mortgage is only for houses, residences, okay? They want you to specifically buy the land with the house. It can be residential, or it can be a commercial house, like an apartment. In Turkey, apartments are different. Turkish people know. In US, if you have a 3-story building or even 2-story building with couple of units in it, it's called an apartment, okay? That's what most investors invest in. Some invest in residential single-family houses. Some people invest in apartments where they have 6-10 units, which they rent, and this rental units are run by managers. If up until, let's say, 2, 3, 4 houses, then you lose control. You give it to the real estate management company. So in reality, you are not investing in real estate. You are not living in it. You don't care what they do. You are just getting that loan against real estate. So you must first understand this. You don't have to say, real estate is a bad idea. Why should I invest? You're not going to get the loan, okay? If you invest in anything else, you will not get that loan, which is 30 years loan. Okay, now assume I got the 30-year loan, okay? Not against stocks and anything. They don't give it to you, okay? So you can, the longest term you can get money against your stocks is a very small money, and they'll call it back from you, because in a very short period. You cannot lend money in Forex and other, let's say, stock exchange business, portfolio business, longer than maybe a week or two, because that's a very dangerous and not a fixed rate. Quickly you may run out of money. So you must all understand that all banks are thinking most secure asset to get collateral is a house with a land, okay? So that's number one. And secondly, okay, I got that loan, good, and it must be a fixed rate. Like in USA, you can get a 30-year fixed rate. It's not going to change against you. It can change for you. How will that happen? If, let's say, right now you get a loan around 7.5% annual in the USA. In Turkey, let's say you get a loan around 60% per year. In 2 years, assume the Fed is successful, they decrease the interest rates down, you can go ahead and replenish your loan with the new loan. Just close the old loan. Plus, so what money did you make by doing this? You bought the house cheap, because if the rates come down drastically, the house you are buying now for, let's say, $400,000, because now everybody is running to buy, the rates are low, your house suddenly goes up to, for every 1%, the house price goes up 10%. So if today in America rates come down 3%, that means house prices will go up 30%, okay? So any house you bought for $400,000, assuming Fed is successful, you will make about $150,000 just from price increases. Why? Because people want to buy your house, okay? and there aren't enough houses around. Another good side of the house is you don't pay a rent, or you can rent it out for rent, or you can stop paying rent, save that money and pay it against your mortgage. So that's available. But it must be very important for you to understand there are many real estate videos, and be rich, come rich, how to become rich. You don't become rich by paying house taxes, repairing the house, okay, paying closing costs. That's not the way to get rich. The thing that makes you rich in a house is the very good, cheap rate, long rate loan you got. If you are not getting a good rate, it doesn't make much sense in investing in a real estate. It must be very choosy. I will only invest cash in a real estate at a, let's say, terrible time when everybody is selling their houses. They cannot pay their mortgages, so they have to sell. They are selling it at cheaper. Then even if you can't find a loan, and if you have a cash, you can go buy the house. Otherwise, there is no opportunity in it. So I never advise my followers, my subscribers, to buy cash houses. Okay, if you have enough cash to buy one house as a cash, just go buy two houses. Or I made my better offer in my first video in this channel. If you can just go and get the interest rate 5% for 30 years, 550 from government. Just keep that money, make the 20% down payment of the house, okay? For a couple of years, pay 8%. And when the mortgage rates fall, because the interest rates fall back to 3%, you're making 2% extra from the government bonds, just keeping them. You see, if everything is like picture perfect in the future, like Fed will succeed, good, we are prepared for that as well. So if Fed succeeds, it's incredibly good in the future. But for today, I want the inflation to go sky high. Why? Because you won't notice it in the States. We can notice it better in Turkey. The amount you loaned from the bank, if US has a 9% inflation, or let's say 5% now, right now it's around 4, the declared one, and it's going to continue for a couple of years. Let's assume it's 4%, okay? In 10 years, it adds up. I'm not compounding, just adds up 40%. And you took a loan out for $300,000, let's say. 40% lost their purchasing power. Doesn't matter. Assume you didn't pay anything against principal. Your $300,000 loan is suddenly $160,000 loan. Okay, that's the purchasing power. You were getting $3,000 a salary. In 10 years later, you are getting $5,000 salary. Okay, or base pay is up that much. So the more the inflation, the higher the inflation after you get the loan, just like the governments do, you're all right. You're safe. Just pray that it goes higher and higher again. Okay, that's when you have a loan, of course. Not if you're working on a salary or cash every day. Those you lose because prices go up. Your salary doesn't go up as much. But if you have big loans, they just melt like ice left under the sun. And that's how the businessmen do business. They get a loan. If you're not getting a loan, if you're trying to do everything cash, then you start the soccer game with your arms tied, and okay, in one leg you have a iron bar, or let's say iron ball attached with a chain. You playing soccer, okay, or basketball like that. If you don't get a loan, you must get the leverage of that loan, cheap loan, fixed rate, okay, never variable rate. Variable rates can only be you can get for the short term. Like we can say, okay, it's 8% now. It will go down, but there's a danger of it going to 12% as well. So you rather make your calculation on a fixed rate. If things go in the directions you want, you can always refinance, okay? Or if you cannot, in the US, I know it's extremely easy to refinance, but let's say in some countries, the interest rates must fall, not just like slightly, 0.25, 0.50% in a big amount. Then you can refinance from another bank. Just close that loan and get a new loan. Okay? And one must understand that you don't have to keep the loan for 30 years, 15 years, 10 years. You can just keep it for a year. I have received mortgage loans for 10 years, and I paid them back 6 months later. I just bought the house, renovated it, and I needed some cash money. I just sold it. You can sell a house with a loan, mortgage loan. The buyer, if he has cash, he closes the mortgage at the buying time. If he doesn't, if he's also going to get a mortgage to pay your mortgage, the banks arrange that. They close, they just, they don't transfer. They close the loan with you. They open the loan to the buyer, okay? So that's how things work. Assume nobody is offering you a new, cheaper loan. When the loan, let's say, interest rates in Turkey, for example, went down from 3% monthly, 285, I think, is the cheapest right now, monthly, down to, let's say, 1%. And you go to the bank, they say, sorry, we are governmental banks, we are government type banks, government capitalized banks. We cannot give you. Private banks, they say, this is not the real rate. There is election, so don't believe in those rates. The rates are still 2%. Assuming things went good, inflation stopped in 3 years' time, like they're offering in Turkey, in 3 years, the rates will go down. That's very good. Then you have a high rate loan, but you bought the house cheap, okay? Now the rates are down. You can go ahead and easily on the market at that time when rates are down to, let's say, 1% per month. There will be such a havoc, everybody will be running to buy the houses. Now they can afford the loan, okay? So you bought the house for 2 million, or this is a million. We Turks are millionaires. We talk in millions. We don't talk in, thousands. That's cheap money. So you bought it for 2 million 3 years ago. Now you sell it for 4, okay? And it's only 2 years past, 3 years past. Now your house is worth 4.5. I lived this cycle 10 times. I'm 68, okay? I made huge amounts of money. Even if I have cash money, I always buy 3-4 houses on loan. Of course, to be able to buy 3-4 houses on loan, you must have a very good payment, let's say, history. You must have very good FICO number if you live in the States. In Turkey, it's another number where they check your credit rating, okay? So that's where banks look. When they decide to give you a loan, they check your credit score. If you took out loans, a lot of credit cards, some loans for expenditures, but paid always on time, never pay on time doesn't mean pay it all at once. The minimum payment they ask you, if you pay them on time, don't delay the minimum payments, you are the perfect customer for the bank. That's how banks make money. They make money on interest they're going to take from you. So you are not a lousy person. He's not paying it all full. He's just paying, the minimum. So that's what banks love. Why should you love? If banks love it, maybe you are losing money. No, you are gaining history, credit history, okay? Because I had so many credit cards, I have enough credit, let's say, limit to buy a house, on a day, just in my credit cards, not applying to mortgage or a bank. So that's very important for me. That gives me flexibility. If I need to do something, I know it's a higher interest rate, but I don't have to ask anybody, will you loan me, or would your bank loan me this much money? I'm going to lose lots of time with the paperwork. No, I just go and draw the cash. Okay. Even if I don't want to draw the cash, I can buy gold and turn it into cash. Okay. With my credit card. So this is not normal for US now with credit card rates running at 20%. It may be for a month or two if you buy a very good deal and you know that you can close it in 30 days or 60 days. It's a good offer, but this is all made of calculations, and the world's biggest computer makes these calculations for you. But you just have to understand the basics of it. You are not buying a house, you are buying a loan. Okay, so loan, which is leverage. What does leverage means? You just pay down 20%, they'll give you 80%. So it's 1 to 4. In Turkey, I know in the US also, if you're buying your first house, electricity went down here. So if the laptop doesn't stop, I have my modem on let's say charging UPS. So it's a good testing. Right during the video recording, it didn't go down. So that's very, very good. So that's the best thing you should know. And now, if you learn this, okay, now in Turkey, the rates for houses are very high. Okay, you may not be able to use the system today when the rates are in the US 7-8%. I don't see any problem with it either. I tell you, I can always refinance. If the rates don't go down at all, I am at a profit. If the rates come down, I can refinance. Okay. If the rates come down, if I can't refinance, I just sell the house for a higher fee. Okay. And just go get the new loan with the lower percentage. Okay. I can close the loan 6 months later, let's say 2 years later. The interest rates in Turkey came down to 1, in US came down to 3. You just sell your house at a very high price and get the down payment, pay the bank's money back, and go ahead and you also get a loan with 3%. Okay, that's easy stuff. That's easy stuff. But you should learn to use loan. If you are not a loaner, you are a loser. Okay, this is how this system, capitalist system, works. They are not giving money against anything else. So as I said, they say the house is a trash. It's not producing anything. Fine. You want to produce something? Give me mortgage loans against stock exchanges so I can give companies all my millions, okay, and your bank's millions to the banks. Why don't you let me do that? Why don't you just give it for a residence? Okay. So, friends, we are living in a virtual world. Whatever you see is a lie. It's not a reality. Okay. The reality, a good businessman is a person who's using a lot of loan leverage. Okay. 10 times, 20 times, 50 times leverage. So real profit is not made from buying and selling something in small amounts. Try to grow it yourself. It's going to take ages, Like dividend investing is a good idea. But to reach that dividend level, you must be drawing very high salary and very high amount of money. Once both will pay you enough dividend, like $1,000, $2,000 a month. It's going to take ages. But if you use a loan, buy a house, sell it in 3-4 years later, there you go. Go ahead and now buy your dividend stocks, okay? Because it takes you up much faster, like a rocket. Rather, I'm not talking about crypto money when I mention rocket, okay? This is always true. Whenever the rates will go down, you will become rich, Uncle Rich, if you're not making a huge mistake, because you cannot. What if I buy a wrong house? Well, the experts will come and the banks don't make mistake. You can make a mistake. So when you're getting a loan, mortgage loan, the bank sends experts. They check the house. They check the price of the house. If somebody is trying to sell you a $200,000 house for $500,000, bank says this house is only worth $180,000. So you cannot get that loan. So you are saved by being a partnering with the bank to get the loan. Okay. Otherwise, they may have fooled you. So, expert, even if you buy a house on cash, make sure to have the expert come and price the house for you. That's how it's done for foreigners in Turkey. Unfortunately, not for Turkish people. It's compulsory if a foreigner comes to Turkey and buys a house, they have to make this expertise, pricing control. Okay, that's a good idea, because a foreigner may not know if these are the running prices or he's being fooled. Is there a problem in the house title? Maybe municipality title are not approved for this house. So the expert checks it for you. They say, okay, this house has no problem. Bank gives you a credit. If a bank gives you a credit, you can get the credit. Okay, you are 90% more secure if you buy your house with a mortgage credit. Okay, so don't miss this. Okay, have a nice day and have a nice Saturday. So this was a real estate Saturday, but you didn't earn real estate. You learned loan. Okay, how to lend, not lend, how to borrow long term, fixed rate, melted in inflation. Higher the inflation, more making more money for you. Okay, therefore Turkey gives you much more opportunity than United States or any other country when it comes to melting down your loan. Okay, because we have 60, 70, 80, 100%. And if you got a fixed rate loan, you are a millionaire in 3 years. All your payments, you don't have to wait 30 years or 10 years. They are covered. You paid it off after 3 years. You don't get this opportunity in States. But in the States, you get other opportunities where you can buy with very small amounts for almost, you can sometimes even get a better rate just renting the house, and they pay you the total payment of the installment. You don't get that in Turkey for 3 years. You pay it from your pocket on top of the rent. But 3 years later, fine. The rent pays the whole monthly fee. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this and this helps you to change your mindset, okay? From a non-loaner, never loaner to if there is a opportunity, I'll just grab it, okay? That's the mindset. See you later and hope you all the best.